Welcome to One-on-One with Expert Flyer. This is your host, Lisa Kaslan. And today we invited Kimberly Wilson Wetty back as a guest. She is the co-president of Valerie Wilson Travel, and she's going to help us figure out some kind of a roadmap for folks who are dying to get back on the road and take a normal vacation, and what we can do, where we can go, when we can do it. Let's say over the next year and a half. And just as important, how to protect yourself if ongoing cancellations and quarantines persist. So, how you doing, Kim?
Hi, Lisa. It's so great to be back on, so thank you for inviting me. And I am like you. I am ready to get on a vacation, get on a plane, start traveling the world again. But first and foremost, I hope all the listeners right now are healthy and safe and doing what they're supposed to, which is stay home. That's the only way we're going to get through this.
You're right. You're absolutely right. If you want to help businesses, wear your mask, use hand sanitizer, follow the guidelines, and we'll be out of this faster,
Agreed.
So we were tossing around, the possible phases of, reopening travel, and I just wanted you to kind of comment on that and talk a little bit about what you think phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 means, and, where could we go and how do we do that? When does it start?
Absolutely. Great question. So, I think as we're starting to see the world slowly start to have signs of reopening, there's a lot of question and pause that all of us have. And I think a lot of it's going to come down to customer confidence. Our health is first and foremost, but there are a lot of people who are eager to get back to their life of exploring and traveling. And for some, I think phase 1 is really going to be that first, okay, I've been home for how many days? I've stopped counting. I want to start to get outside of my bubble a little bit. I'm willing to get into my car. I'm going to go perhaps locally within my state. If certain states start to open up and allow visitors, I might be willing to go to like a 5-hour drive, something like that. So if you're on the Northeast, you might look to go to Massachusetts or Maine or go down to Jersey, or even, I've had one client who said, South Carolina's open. Can I drive to Hilton Head and actually just go book a week in a home or a hotel? So I think phase 1 is going to be this idea of sort of close to home, but test the waters. Mm-hmm. And I'm hopeful that, by June, July, this summer, we're going to start to see that if what the government's saying, that certain states are going to start to open. I think phase 2 will be that barometer of, I'm comfortable getting on an airplane. I feel really okay. I might have to wear a mask. That's going to be the new norm for so many of us. But I'll venture out. I'll look to possibly go on a cruise. I know we've got a lot of diehard cruisers who literally want to be on that first sailing because they can't get way to back on a cruise ship. So I think we're going to start to see where people want to go. And then phase 3 is that longer wait. I think it's for many that means for international travel or more exotic destinations, I think people are going to want to wait to see if there's a vaccination or medicine that they can take, because you don't want to be that far away from home if, God forbid, all of a sudden we're told we have to shelter in place again. So I really do think that there's this confidence that this idea of a roadmap is definitely going to be like baby steps, but I think we're really starting to come to the point where we're going to start to be able to take some of these baby steps and start to travel again and start to see what's in our own backyard. And I think for all countries, you're going to stay a little local. So you might see what's sort of like in your own country.
So if, short road trips are going to start hopefully in June or July, when do you see phase 2 and phase 3? And I know we don't know. And
right. I wish I had that crystal ball.
I know.
I feel like there's a lot of conversation sort of around Labor Day. For whatever reason, I think we sort of fast forward like, okay, well, at that point we will have been at this for like 6 months.
Yeah.
What does that really sort of start to feel like? I heard, that they're hoping that there might be a vaccination by December. If if that's truly the case, I think that is going to boost confidence, psychological positivity. People are going to see that there is truly a big light at the end of this tunnel. I think we're starting to see glimpses of light, but I think that really sort of opens it up. So I think phase 2 is realistically, September, October, towards then, fall.
Yeah,
and I think
for the 2021.
And I think phase 3. I mean, unless we really start to see some changes, I think to really see it coming back in something that's significant, and we're always going to have the one-offs where people are going to go and try. And I mean, I've got clients who are literally, when they're able to go and Italy's ready to open back up, they're like, we're there. If that's June, July, August, September, we're going. So I think it really depends on the individual person, but when you sort of think at society at a large, I think that's going to be a little bit more staggered out.
Yeah, I agree. So what are your clients asking? What are their main concerns? What are they coming to you with right now?
So once we, the good news is I feel like we've moved out of crisis mode. For many, the first questions were, I have a trip booked, I can't go, is my money protected? How do I get my, refunds back? How does that all work? Do I take a future credit? So we sort of moved from crisis into rebuilding phase. So now the conversation is, well, are terms and conditions going to change? Should I take insurance? How do I know my money's protected? Is it safe? Where can I go? When can I go? Is that supplier going to be solvent? There's a lot of conversation about not every business is going to be able to ride out this storm with the financial impact of having no revenue coming in. You can only sustain that for so long. So a lot of customers are worried if they've had a trip planned and there's a future travel credit, what's the guarantee that
airline
business is still going to be in business when they're ready to go? So those are sort of like the main questions. It really comes down to people are looking for true confidence and somebody that they can trust to help guide them through this travel process.
Well, how do you respond to that? I mean, it's a very valid question. Hey, I'd love to just take a credit and, just reschedule, but what if this company goes out of business? What are you telling them?
So some of the advice that we're giving is you absolutely use a credit card. So if God forbid a supplier were to actually not make it, having it booked on a credit card is really important. I know a lot of people used to send a check and that sort of stuff. Once you send a check, you've got no recourse there. So we're really encouraging everything be done by credit card. Do your research. Rely on a travel advisor. We can start to see signs if somebody's potentially not solvent. Have they been kind of slow in paying commission checks? Because that's how we get paid. We make money from them. So if we haven't gotten paid in a while, we might start to see that a radar is going up, or they're not responding to emails, or they're just sort of been a little distant. We work with different consortia. So as you know, we're a member of Virtuoso. We work very strongly with Virtuoso to make sure that they're doing the due diligence to know that these suppliers are solvent. So, we're saying you've got to be cautious, but for so many of the larger named brands, I feel very confident that if you take the credit, chances are you're going to wind up financially better because, like, take the cruise lines, for example. If you took a future travel credit, the cruise lines are actually now giving you 125%. So you just need 25% on your investment. So that's better than what you're going to get in the stock market these days. So take the 25% investment and know that you're sitting on that money and you're ready to go when you're ready to travel.
Yeah, it's great.
The major cruise lines, you have to believe that, they have so much cash and cash reserves that I feel confident that they're going to survive. I feel very confident, like with the airlines, the government's going to step in and make sure that, Delta Airlines and American Airlines are stable companies, no differently than like the Royal Caribbean family of the world. So understanding where your sort of barometer of risk is, and then we've had other clients who say, look, I'm health compromised. I've got a lot of health issues going on. Until COVID-19 is over, I just want to know I have my money back. And so then we're fighting on their behalf to get their money back because everybody's got a different level of risk. Insurance is definitely one of the things that, we've always been of the belief that, you should buy insurance because you should protect your investment. But we're even taking a step further to really encourage the traveler to talk to the insurance company to ask all the questions that you want to ask. Like, we're not insurance providers, so we'll help set them up with somebody and really read the policy. How many times we take insurance and never read the document? This is it's worth the time to read the policies to make sure that you know what you're getting.
Absolutely. So do you think that right now the travel industry is viewing travel agents differently? Do you think that you're getting back?
Yeah, I actually think that in some ways this is one of the silver linings, that this has really shown a very positive light on the power of the travel advisor. We had so many, there were just so many people who were stranded around the world when COVID-19 happened and they couldn't get home, and they had less than 48 hours to get out of Italy and things like that. And how do I get home? And by working with an advisor, we have fought tooth and nail to protect our clients' money and give them comfort. And in many cases, we've been working for free because we're never going to get paid commission on that trip because it never happened.
Right.
So we've been doing this because we believe in customer service. We believe that travel is going to come back, and we wanted to protect our clients. If you booked it yourself, or if you booked it with, an online player, their customer service is very different. Like right now, traditional travel advisors, where you know who your advisor is and you have a relationship, that advisor has been working endless hours to protect the traveling public. So I think moving forward, most people are going to want to travel with a travel advisor because I think travel is going to become even more complicated and more complex as we move out of COVID-19. So what are the restrictions? What are the new protocols? What's the experience going to be like? Fine, I get to my next destination. I have to wear a mask. Do I have to wear gloves? What's check-in going to be like? What's open? What's not going to be open? What's the experience going to be like? You need a trusted advisor who's going to help you, guide you through that process so you walk into that vacation or that business trip truly knowing what to expect.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the value that you bring is irreplaceable, and, you could qualify as an essential worker in the travel industry.
I think so.
I really do.
We're going to get back to our offices, but the truly remarkable thing is, we tested our work remote policy. We actually started on March 12th, and we were seamless. And in our entire team, we have 15 offices across the country. All of our advisors were never lost a moment in being able to service their clients. So we're still doing Zoom calls with our suppliers. We're taking this time as an opportunity to get further trained. We are really anticipating the comeback and what this is all going to look like, because I truly believe travel is going to come back. It is a lifeline for so many of us to be able to explore the world, experience new destinations, travel with your loved ones, connect. We're not going to just give that freedom up easily. So we're honing our skills to be able to best suit all of the travelers when they're ready to go.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what will be the key indicator to you that we're coming back? Is it, phone ringing off the hook? Is it legislation? Is it, the government making declarations that, travel is open? What is it that's going to, in your world, say, oh, God, we're back?
I love that question. So I think it's going to be a little bit of everything. Right now, we're doing a lot of bookings for future. But it's very easy to book something for 2021, but that's a year off. There are going to be a lot of people who want to do something in 2020, but they're just hesitant to book it right now. So if they don't have something scheduled that is still on the books, I think we're at a wait and see. So we're looking forward to that opportunity when we start seeing the emails and the phone calls come in. But I don't think that's going to happen until the government starts to tell us what's open and what's not. And that's a global thing, not just state by state, but, can you fly to Italy? Can you go to London? Is it, even Alaska? I mean, it breaks my heart to think that we pretty much lost the Alaska season for cruising just because Canada has pretty strict restrictions right now. And they want to make sure that the visitors who are coming into their country are COVID-free. But it's really hard to have a 14-day quarantine before you even start your vacation. Yeah. People aren't going to have 28 days to go spend that way. So that's where we go back to the first part of our conversation, that if the 14-day quarantine is in place, chances are you can stay within your state. If within your boundaries of your state, those states are open to you, there are going to be some possibilities of sort of the spread is slowly going to get bigger and bigger, that circle and just distance that you're willing to go. But we've got to wait on government. We need some reassurance. And I think a lot of it's going to come to client confidence. I mean, we're all getting a little stir crazy.
I don't know if it's still going on, but I know a few weeks ago there were a lot of stories about younger travelers who were throwing caution to the wind and taking advantage of these fire sales, these ridiculously cheap fares, airline fares and such. Is that still going on? And if a client did come to you and ask your opinion on that, are you dissuading them?
So I think I would really then ask the client, why are they going? Like if they're going just because they can get a $99 airfare someplace, my question would then be, where are you going to stay? Yeah. What hotels are open? Restaurants aren't open. In some states, you can't go to the beach. The parks. What are you going to experience? Just to know that you got a ridiculously low rate on an airline ticket. So I think that we haven't seen as much of that, but I do think that for clients who are really eager to travel, there is some of the best pricing out there right now. It is truly a buyer's market. Yeah. So if you're ready to go and you're thinking, like if we go back to these phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 idea, like let's say, okay, for me personally, like it might say summer I'm going to stay closer home, but by like October, I want to know I have something to look forward to. Yeah. Book that trip now. Figure out where you want to go. Take advantage of these incredibly great pricing out there. Yeah. So you can look, several months out, with relative safety, and get good deals. Just space it out a little bit. So if you wanted to go away for Christmas or Thanksgiving or, New Year's, it's a possibility, and you could get a good deal. Absolutely. And then I think one of the things that we're starting to see, that we are going to start to see even more so, is that terms and conditions are going to become a little bit more relaxed. I think it's going to be this idea of book with confidence. So let's say you book something, and God forbid the world's not at a point yet that it feels really right to still travel, and we're in this longer than we thought we were going to be. Your investment, I have to believe, is going to be protected, because that supplier doesn't want to lose you. Yeah. This is their touch point with you, so they're going to want to take care of you, knowing if you're then going to come back in like January or February. So, clients want to know that they're safe, their money's protected, and it's still a good investment. And that's really the message that we're trying to create, that now's a good time to book.
Absolutely. All right, my friend. So is there any last pieces of advice, help for travelers before we say goodbye?
So one of the things that we've been doing is, I've been going through like my phone and looking at old photos. Stay inspired. Don't give up on travel. It's going to come back. Reconnect to the things that are important for you and why you travel, and keep that close to your heart, because those are the things that are going to inspire us to get through these sort of darker, more challenging days. So I'm all about, I use the analogy, you're on an airplane and you're coming up over the clouds and the skyline. It's always sunny above the clouds. So we need to think positively.
I love that. I love that. All right. Well, listen, thank you so much. And just remind everybody, what's your website if folks want to learn more about Valerie Wilson Travel?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Lisa. So it's ValerieWilsonTravel.com. And we look forward to helping anybody who might be interested. And Lisa, I so appreciate this opportunity.
Absolutely. Always a pleasure to have you. You stay safe.
You too. Talk soon.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.